Welcome to the SwimSwam podcast. I'm your host, Coleman Hodges. Joining me today, we've got a very special guest. He's a lifelong swimmer, but his swimming path to the 2021 NCAA championships is a bit different than most. Today, we are talking with fifth year for the University of Cincinnati swimmer, NCAA qualifier, Blake Hanna.
Hey, Coleman. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for taking the time to sit down and chat with us. So, your coach Peter had messaged me and it's like, "Hey, this is kind of an interesting story." And the more I dug into it, the more I'm like, "This is pretty interesting." But so like I said, you've been swimming for a long time. You swam for the Northern Kentucky Clippers. Is that in Cincinnati? Are you from the area?
That's in Northern Kentucky, so it's right across the river from Cincinnati.
Okay. So you grew up in this area. Can you tell me about what drew you to swimming at a club level in high school?
I think I really got into swimming at about the age of 6 when I just started competing summer league, and they have the little tent there where they try and get the parents to sign their kids up for club team. And it started there, and from there I just had a love for the sport, wanted to continue on. And I mean, I wasn't ever the biggest person on the pool deck, wasn't ever the strongest, wasn't the person who was in the performance groups year after year after year, but I have such a passion for the sport that I've just gotten to where I'm at today, and I couldn't be happier with where I'm at.
For listeners out there who's like, what's the deal with this Blake Hanna guy? I'm going to bottom line it for you. Blake Hanna didn't get recruited out of college, swam for the University of Cincinnati club team for 2 years. He won the club national championships in the 200 backstroke, 147, started swimming with the University of Cincinnati team, and now he's a 140 point 200 backstroker. He's going to the Division I NCAAs this year. You've made pretty tremendous strides. And so if you're listening, this is the appeal of Blake Hanna, and we're going to get into his story. And so you swam with the Northern Kentucky Clippers. Did you swim all throughout high school?
Yeah, I was there on that club team freshman to senior year. My high school teammates were primarily also on the club team, so we'd kind of just go to practice in the morning, go to school, ride with each other back to practice in the afternoon, and see each other the next day.
Were you a backstroker in high school as well?
Yeah, I mean, anyone in high school level, coach puts you in everything, but primarily backstroker.
Yeah. And so coming out of high school, was swimming in college something that you had been interested in or had looked into at all?
Ever since I was, I guess, 9 and 10-year-old, looking up to the guys who were graduating at the time when I was that age. Like at that time, I think it was like Corey Chitwood would have been graduating. I was like, man, I want to be that guy one day swimming at Arizona. I want to be the person making NCAAs, winning NCAAs. And it had always been a dream of mine. And, that dream got paused, but look, we're here today, and that's where hard work and determination can get you.
So did you how did you end up at the University of Cincinnati but not swimming? Had you pursued swimming in college and things just hadn't worked out? I know you had mentioned you weren't recruited heavily.
Yeah, so UC has an information technology program that allows you to choose what specific track you want to focus on. And I had wanted to focus on cybersecurity. And within that, I've also been able to do multiple co-ops with companies in the local area, as well as dual study at the same time and get my master's in business administration and graduate in the same amount of time. So that's kind of what drew me to the school. And I was kind of set on that. And swimming would have been a bonus, but like just that dream really drove me to where I'm at.
Gotcha. So you come to the University of it. Do you think if you had been recruited more heavily, you may have strayed from that IT path and gone to a school for swimming purposes?
I'm not sure because computers and IT has been something that I've wanted to do all my life, and the thing that really drew me to the IT is just different aspects of the program. So I guess that's just something we'll never know.
Fair enough. And so you come to University of Cincinnati on this IT, set on this IT course. Uh, what drew you to club swimming then?
Coming out of my senior year, kind of not being able to continue the career was something that I love swimming. So I was able to stay in the water and still be on a team and still compete. And that's just really, I had one of the girls who swam on my club team in high school. She told me about UC having a club team, and I think I was signed up like the first day we got onto campus.
Nice. And so, just so we're clear for our listeners out there, this can be kind of a confusing lingo, but we're gonna be talking about the college club team now. So your high school club team or your age group club team was Northern Kentucky Clippers, but then you went to the University of Cincinnati and you swam for the UC club team. Uh, I swam at my college's club team for a year, and it was really fun, and it was a really nice way to transition from still having a love for the sport and being used to being in the water all the time to kind of that area where you're figuring out other things and you're kind of trying to see how swimming fits in your life. And so as you were competing with this club team, how did you find the swimming fit into your life?
When I was with the club team, it was kind of like it definitely is something that you can have different levels of. You can be somebody who wants to just keep swimming because you swam summer league all your life and you just want to do it in college because it helps you find new people to meet and it brings you back into the swimming culture, swimming friend group. You can be somebody who was a good high school swimmer, didn't make it into college, but you still want to compete. And maybe that's your level and it's a great place to be for you. Swimming on the club team I think it was a good spot for me at the time because it gave me the opportunity to grow and still stay in the water. Because I mean, grow physically too, because I wasn't a very big kid coming out of high school. So it just gave me that stepping stone. It can be a great stepping stone between high school and college if you don't make it, but you still have that drive and you still want to get there.
Yeah. So just for reference for myself and our audience, coming out of high school, can you give us can you give me your times in the 100 back, the 200 back, and the 200 IM?
Yeah, so I think 200 back coming out of high school, I was a 150.4 short course yards and a 212 long course. And then 100 back, I was 51.2 and 101 long course. And 2 IM, I think that year at high school state, I was 153. So, I mean, they were pretty run of the mill times for coming out of high school.
I, I guess that seems pretty fast to me, man. I mean, it's maybe it's not top 20 in the nation, but so were you recruited at all? Did you consider other schools besides Cincinnati?
I'd talked with Xavier a little bit, but I would have had to do a different major, and just I know that IT is the path for me post college.
Gotcha. Yeah. That I find that pretty interesting because you say run of the mill, but I mean 150 two back, 153 two IM, like that's not like scrub. That's pretty quick. But anyway, you get to the UC club team in Cincinnati. And like you said, on a college club team, everyone's kind of there for different reasons. And that's kind of the beauty of it is that you can come there and find out what it is that you want to do with swimming and everyone kind of has their place. Did you all have a coach?
No, we do not. You see, I know, excuse me, some of the teams on deck had coaches, and they're definitely volunteer coaches. But on our team, it was pretty much maybe one person didn't jump in the water that day. They wrote a practice, and it was something that everybody could do.
Yeah. And so tell me about these, I guess let's just break it down your first year, freshman year of college. Obviously that's a lot of changes anyway, just socially, intellectually, and as you mentioned, physically. What were you doing in the water and what were you doing outside the water?
I'd say freshman year was more of kind of a laid back year for me. That was one that I took. It was definitely just all right, I'm going to swim club to swim club, have fun with it. and just hang out with everybody on the club team, enjoy my first year of college kind of thing. And I definitely did that. I didn't have like any training program, any regiment that I did. It was just come to the practices and go to center court with everybody afterwards kind of thing.
Yeah. And was swimming the only thing you were doing? Were you lifting at all?
No, I wasn't going to our gym really. It was just swimming.
Okay. And how often were you swimming then?
I'd say we did that about 3 times a week. And I mean, I didn't really deviate from the club team's practice schedule my first year of school.
Okay. So freshman year, you're just living life, enjoying swimming, practicing 3 times a week. I did you go to the college club national championships that year?
Yeah, that year it was held in Atlanta, but I think it was primarily held in Atlanta my first 2 years and the years before that. And went to that. I saw there was a guy from Virginia, Henrik Pullman, and he came off of their NCAA team that year. And I saw what he went into back, and I was like, okay, that can be me. Like next year, I was like, I want to win this whole thing. And so it was really like after that moment was when I was like, all right, time. If I want to win this, I actually gotta like actually dedicate time to it again. I gotta start training, gotta hit the weight room again, and treating myself right.
Interesting. And so what did he go?
I think I want to say it was definitely sub 150. It was probably 149 range, I think is what he went. And I went a 153 that year, so I was a few seconds off my best time, but having not been in the water, it was still good. And I was like, I can definitely do that. And so from that point on, it was just like, all right, how do we get there?
Okay. All right. So the fire is rekindled. Where this is the good stuff now. Did you swim other events at that meet as well?
Yeah, if I can think back to it, I think I swam the two free and 100 IM.
Nice.
I hadn't done that one since I was like 12 years old, so it was nice to get back in that one.
That's great. I know the one club meet I did in college, I also swam the 100 IM, which was the highlight of that meet for
Yeah,
sure.
it's definitely fun. I mean, you do a lot of events that you haven't done since you're 9 through 12 years old, because they even bring back the 25s at those meets.
Yeah, which is again, it just gives you a good love for swimming. It's
Mhm.
just fun, like you were saying. So coming off of your first college club national championships, the fire's lit. You're like, okay, I'm going to take this seriously. Take me through that summer and kind of those changes you made. What were you doing?
So that summer, I was on co-op with local company, and I think I was practicing after work every day, and I was just like trying to baby steps getting back in. Like literally, I think for that summer, I just focused on getting my technique back down. Threw a snorkel on for about half a practice every day. Just made sure the positioning was right, the body was right, and getting everything back down. That way, I could start taking the steps from there to build in speed.
Gotcha. And through all this, were you just swimming on your own? Did you have any training partners, any coaching, anything like that?
I was purely on my own. I went to actually just went back up to the pool that I grew up in. Went up to Silver Lake, grabbed a lane every day with the master swimmers around me, and just threw my head down and swam. Looked at the black line for 2 hours.
So you're swimming 2 hours a day.
Yeah, it was roughly that because I'd stay the entirety of my brother's practice because I have a younger brother he's 3 years younger than me. So what I'd do is I'd go there probably a little after they started, and I'd start swimming and then be done about the time that he was done and drive home.
Wow. So was how do you have a gauge of how much you were getting in every day?
I'd say in the 2 hours I was probably getting about 6,000 in.
That is dedication, man. What motivated you to I mean that's a lot of time in the pool. 2 hours a day, 6,000 just by yourself with the masters. I mean, were you all this time were you just thinking I'm gonna go 149? I'm gonna beat
Well,
that
yeah,
guy.
I'm like, all right, okay, this is like, I literally just like any swimmer would, I paced it out. I was like, all right, this is where I got to hold, got to be there, got to build the endurance back up. Like I had the whole like 3-4 week plans going. Like it was like I was in it for just to win that event at that meet.
That's awesome. So then come fall, do you rejoin or reconvene with the University of Cincinnati college club team?
Yeah, so back when we got onto campus that fall, I obviously got to re-sign up for the club team. Did that, and then talked to one of our directors. He was a coach with Mason Manor Race at the time as well, so he helped me get signed back up with a USA Swimming ID. That way, I could start competing in USA Swimming meets again. And from there, that's really where the wheels were set in motion because I was like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I need to like consistently be racing. That way, I know if I'm actually improving or not. And so he helped me with that. And I had a few people who would come and practice with me in the beginning of it, but by the end they were like, man, this is just too much for me.
Yeah. So were you swimming with the club team or was it a lot kind of on your own again?
Back when I got back on the campus my second year, I just immediately started on my own.
Okay. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm guessing the club team probably couldn't hang with you.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun to practice with them, but I knew where my goals were, and it was the separation there.
Yeah, I mean, definitely different. If you're trying to break 150, like you said, you've got a plan, you've got a routine. That's not necessarily always what college club practices are like. So you were swimming on your own. Like you said, you had a few training partners coming in and out. Uh, at this point, do you have any kind of coaching and help with writing workouts?
No, it was literally just straight off the dome. Like nothing was. I think I pulled old practices that I did from our club team in high school, but like it was just whatever I wanted to do that day is what was on the paper.
And again, was the yardage kind of about the same, around 5 or 6,000?
Yeah, I'd typically stick around there. And I actually remember there was one day that I was swimming. One of the girls from UC's team looks over at me, and I had the paper on the wall. She looks at that and she's like, "That's hard." She's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm like, yeah.
I mean, she's not wrong. That's so you were putting in some serious work. What I mean, did you find those boring, or was this something that you enjoyed?
Some of them where I wrote, and I was like, man, why'd you do this to yourself? Like, this is boring. But like, I tried to find ways to make it fun. Like, just, I'm like, I just thinking back to what I did, it was like, just do a mix of stuff. Like, it doesn't have to be like 8 times through 1,500 kind of thing, or 6 times through whatever. It was like, all right, let's mix in some underwaters here. Let's do some drills here. Let's do some pace here. Just kind of keep myself on my toes.
Nice. Keep yourself on your own toes. Not always an easy task, but it seems
No.
like you were able to do it. So in the fall, you're training. Does this pretty much go on till April, or is there any kind of shift or change in your training setup along the way?
Yeah, it changes around December because around December, you hit Christmas break. And with my co-op rotations, I was on co-op every other semester. So I was with the same company, but I didn't live on campus. I lived at home because I was um, just so close to Cincinnati that there was no point in still living in campus housing. And so I was back at home, back training like I was that past summer at Silver Lake. And occasionally I'd hop in with the Clippers and do a practice that their national team was doing. But, just something to change it up on a day that maybe I didn't feel like writing a practice or that they just bullied me into going back over there with them.
And I mean, were you able to keep up pretty well with those practices?
Yeah, it was I was still able to make all the intervals and go decent times. So I was like, okay, maybe I haven't fallen off too hard.
And so, yeah, throughout all this time, were you kind of did you have benchmarks that you were trying to hit for yourself? I know you said, you split out the race of how you're going to go that 149. And did you have any benchmarks along the way to just to kind of let yourself know, hey, I think I'm headed in the right direction?
Yeah, so that I think that fall in December, I did like a mid-season for myself. I swam at just a little age group invite that I was able to find an open event, and swam a few events there. And I actually went a lifetime best time at that meet. And so I was like, okay, we're back in the game, we're back in shape. It's like everything I've been doing so far is working. Let's just ramp it up just a little bit now. And like what you got to do to keep improving.
Lifetime best in what event and what'd you
Uh,
go?
let's see, in two back, I think I dropped a few tenths of a second, so I was back down to 150, which that was I was happy to see that.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. So you're knocking on the door of that 149. And then after Christmas break, tell me about the spring semester.
Spring semester, I think I shifted gears and went from endurance into pace training. So like a few times a week, I would just do a set where I was just consistently holding like 50 pace for the 200 and just making sure I was like getting the fuel down for the water and at the speed I needed to go.
Nice. And again, this is still just kind of on your own.
Just all on my own.
All right. So then the moment I've been waiting for, this second college championships comes up, and I mean, tell me about how the meet went for you.
So the way it is 200s are time finals at that meet. So going in, got a whole 8 hour car ride down to Atlanta to like let the nerves set in. And the entire ride, I'm looking over the psych sheet. I'm like, all right, who's right below me? Who's around me? Because there was a guy who swam down on UK's club team, Kentucky's club team, and he swam for Kentucky's team the year before. And so, I was looking up, I was like, all right, what did he go at SECs last year? Did he swim at SECs? Like, how did he finish off? Like, stuff like that. So I was doing my research, and, like, trying, because I was swimming right next to him. I was like, how does he swim his race? And just knowing what I had to do to win the event. So now that I think about it, we get down there and just do the whole warm up routine, like meet warm up and get behind the blocks. And I think I just went for it and died like a dog.
It's awesome. Uh, so you just go out. Did you have like a taper process? Did you shave?
Yeah, I did shave for that meet. I think I was one of the only people on the pool deck who shaved.
Which is great. And so you go out, you die. Would you go? Did you win?
Oh yeah, I was 147.7, and actually that time I get a text message after the race, and it was from somebody back home. They just go, "Hey, you just went the same time as the fastest UC swimmer." And I was like, "Oh, cool."
Jeez. And I mean, before that, was UC's swim team, their collegiate swim team, like on your radar at all, even for you just like comparing your times of like, oh, I went 150. I wonder what they go.
And honestly, I really wasn't looking at it because I still was like kind of upset about not being able to be on the team. So it's just like out of sight, out of mind kind of thing.
Yeah. Uh Makes total sense. D- when you entered college as a freshman, did you make an attempt to walk on to the UC swim team?
I my in high school I had reached out, but I mean I was not recruited, so I had wasn't given the opportunity at all.
Gotcha. Okay. And so you get this text message. You're faster than UC's top guy. You win the event. 147 was. I mean, tell me about how that felt.
Oh, I mean, it was a great feeling. I mean, anytime that you're at a big meet and you win, the rush of adrenaline, the feeling. It's an accomplishment. Like however many August through March, just all the hard work, it's like coming to fruition. And it's just the feeling of accomplishment. Nothing's better than it.
I mean, that in itself is a really great story. But we still got quite a ways to go. So you win the event, you've reached your goal. The day after, were you just kind of like, all right, like what next?
I mean, after that, well, throughout the meet, I had more events to go, so job wasn't done there. But
Okay.
but after the meet was over, it was kind of like, okay, let's see where this takes us. Let's see where we are, because I think that was like, see, that meet would have been like first week of April, and then I think like I was in the middle of a meeting for my, because that semester I was still in co-op. So in the middle of a meeting, I get a text from Peter, and he's like, "Hey," and like I still have his number from high school from when I reached out to him. So his
Okay.
name pops up, and I'm like, the feeling of like anxiety. It's like, oh God, did I do something? But it's like, yeah, I did do something. Peter texts me and goes, "Hey Blake, I just wanted to take chance to reach out to you and talk to you about doing a tryout for the summer with UC's team."
That's pretty cool. So sorry, let's back up a little bit. Like you said, you had other events at the meet. How did the rest of the meet go?
It went pretty well. I mean, I was by no means a sprinter, so I 100 back. I was 50 point, which is really good, but I think I was like top 6 in that event. And then 200 IM, I was a 153, which was a lifetime best, and won that event. So I was happy with the results of the meet. Definitely happy with how it went.
Nice. And so you get the text from Peter, wants to talk to you about tryout for the summer. I mean, just take me through what happens next.
After I talked to Peter, there were a few meetings with the coaching staff, kind of like gauge interest and things like that. And I was, by that point, I was definitely interested. I was like, you know what? If I just did this, I could really see myself excelling on the team. And like, I'd love to do it myself. And that entire summer, I did a tryout with the team, practiced with them on the Bearcat Aquatics team, and then competed with them through sectionals, and then got the offer to join the team as a walk-on.
And did you go best times at sectionals and long course?
Yeah, I was throughout that summer of training, I think I dropped down to a 208 and 200 back, and I think I had just broken a minute at that time in 100 back long course, so I was like 59-1 or something.
Nice. So best times.
Mhm.
Uh, what was your first summer of real college training like?
Well, that summer, UC was resurfacing their pool. So we were actually at an outdoor facility and just like at a local club pool. And I mean, it was definitely different getting back into the 5 a.m. routine rather than the 8 a.m. routine or 9 a.m. routine. And so that was different, but I really enjoyed being back on the team aspect where everyone was competitive again and everyone was like kind of just fighting at the same pace. And my first summer, somebody, one of the guys on our team, Joey Puglisi, really like took me under his wing, and it was great to have him do that because being new guy on the team, it's like you're kind of weary about stepping on people's toes, like who's the big dog around here, because it's definitely not you. And it was really good to have him, and he's definitely created a lifelong friendship.
Yeah, and I mean, I was kind of curious as to what your impressions, like what you thought the team's impressions of you were, because it's certainly not every day that a college club swimmer comes and walks on, or tries out for the D1 team.
Yeah, I think some of the guys were definitely like, "Who the heck is this guy? Like, just coming in here, like, who is he? Why is he going this fast? Like, if he's going this fast, where's he been?" Kind of thing.
Mhm.
And I mean, I'm a competitor. I'm not gonna let them like just look at me and say you don't belong here. Like, I made it known that I belong there.
Which is great. And were you able to adapt to the training? After that summer, especially, I'm guessing the lifting was definitely a new aspect for you.
Yeah, lifting was pretty different for me, but we came in and one of the coaches was pretty cardio heavy on his dryland lifting approach, and I'm not gonna lie, I love that aspect. So it was something that I was like, all right, I can get on board with this. And like I like running. Like I don't have any issue with that. You know, there's a lot of swimmers who'll be like, ooh, running, but that's definitely not me. Um, and I really liked how he did his weight training as well. So, I mean, I definitely felt the translation back into the water, and that helped me as well in the water with backstroke practices, like IM practices, just being able to put all the pieces together.
Yeah. And I mean, so that summer ends, you go best times, you're on the team. I mean, take me through that first year of being a D1 athlete.
First year was, I mean, it was definitely different getting back into the doubles routine, and then like it's different. I mean, yeah, you go from being on your own to a team aspect again, and I loved that I had people around me again, and the difference is, I mean, I just really had to just say, all right, you've done this before. It's just time to switch gears and get back into it. And I mean, I felt like I was able to adapt pretty well.
Yeah. What was hard about that transition for you? Or
Um,
challenging might be a better word.
You know, being having lived at home a lot, I'd say the hardest part was living on my own and cooking for myself. Like I know, like you're saying, wow, not any of the training, not any of like the fitting in the schoolwork to the traveling. It's like no, a lot of it was just like being on my own in a house because you know now you got to be self sufficient because I didn't have a meal plan either, so I was cooking everything.
I mean, from talking to you for the last 30 minutes, it seems like you're someone who genuinely likes working hard, who likes training, and especially if you're going to be able to train on your own, it seems like training with the team just makes just makes it all the better. And I think that makes a lot of sense. Being on living on your own, I've been doing it for over a decade, and I still think it's hard sometimes. I'm still like, Mom, can I come home? Can you cook dinner? It's
Yeah,
like,
it's like can I have a nice warm home cooked meal tonight? So yeah,
exactly.
that was one of the tougher aspects, but you know, we got through it just like everybody does. And I mean, getting back into the swimming aspect of things, it was a great year. Like the training was awesome. Like I adapted really well to how Coach Steve runs his backstroke group, and just like the getting back into real doubles, real like long practices again. And it was a great transition back to where I wanted to be.
Yeah. And so, obviously your first and second years of college, your goal was 149, winning national college championships. And then, you're on the D1 team now. How did that shift your goals?
I mean, I kind of took a more broader view of things and said, okay, I hit my goal in the club level. Now what's the goal at the NCAA level? And obviously every NCAA swimmer is like, I want to make NCAAs. And it's like, I knew that was a long road ahead of me. So looking at the more short-term goals, my first goal was team record because that was within grasp. Going a 147, the team record at the time was a 146.6. And I was like, all right, I can do that. So the goal was to hit that by like end of year. And I think at our first midseason meet at House of Champs, I was already knocking on the door at it. And I was like, okay, so maybe we redefine some goals here.
Yeah. And how'd you redefine them?
From that point, I looked at it and said, all right, I want to win the conference meet. I was like, I want to go out. I want to go from being club champion to conference champion.
And so, I mean, I already know you're a stats guy. You look at the numbers. What was do you know the winning time from the year before at the conference meet?
Yeah, I think the winning time the year before, Will Kersey from UConn won with like a 142. And he was at our House of Champs meet, and he didn't swim two back at House of Champs. So at least I don't think he did. So I was like, all right, if he's not in it at midseason, he's probably not going to be in it at the end of the year because he also hadn't been swimming in at dual meets. So I was like, all right, somebody's got to take the spot. It's up for grabs.
Okay, so take me there. Take me to your first conference championship.
So after midseason, just heck of a lot of Christmas training trip. Being that was one of the things that really excited me. I was like, December, I'm not going to be in cold northern Kentucky. I get to go down to Naples this year and train. Come back with a tan at Christmas. I was the tannest person in the pictures. Everyone's like, "Where did you just come from?" And I was like, "I worked my butt off in Florida for this thing." But that was just one of the perks, and just getting there, the training to February or into February, because that year conference was like a week back or week pushed back compared to when it normally is. So just training day in and day out, just keep pushing yourself harder and harder. And I think I went my time from club meet the year before in a speedo against the UK, and I was like, okay, I'm excited for this now. And we did a suited swim, I think a week and a half out of conference, and I broke the team record in practice, and I was a 145 in practice. And I was like, okay, we really got this now. And going into the meet, nerves kick in 100%. Like, just there's an anxiety chart where you want to be like right here, and that's like your peak. I think I was already starting to come back down on the first day, but I just tried my best not to let it get to me, and had some of the guys, the older guys around me, who helped me bring it back to here, and definitely the coaching staff as well. They helped me keep it in check, because it's a big difference going from what as college club meets and going to USA Swimming age group meets and open meets. Like, it's a different stage. Like, you're fighting for 23 other guys behind you for a conference championship, and like nerves are definitely a big thing at that meet for somebody who is it's their first time.
Yeah. And so like you said, your teammates, your coaches were able to help you kind of bring you back. Was there anything that you found helpful that you were personally able to do for yourself? Because 100% nerves are real, and a college conference championship is is one of the biggest stages you can compete on.
Yeah, I think just, the belief in myself that I got there, like, you've made it this far, like, you definitely, you got this, just telling yourself you can do it, as well as just making sure that you are mentally calm behind the blocks. That is such a big game changer. Like, if you are the one behind the blocks who is just calm, collected, like, you're going to go out there and rock it, you're already almost a leg ahead in the race.
Yeah. So, all right, the moment of truth again. How did this first 200 back go at the college? Sorry, the conference champs.
So in prelims on Saturday, it was a tight meet between us and ECU. And at prelims that Saturday, we had put ourselves in a really good position as a team. And I knew, let's see, after prelims, I think I was 144.0. So I was second after prelims. And I was like 10th off the guy. And I was like, you know what? You're right there with him. It's going to be a dog fight to the end tonight. Just go out there and do it. And going into finals, coach had gotten us all together, pump up talk and everything. And by that point, we had locked in the meet with the amount of races that we had. And so the weight of, oh, you got to win the meet with this race is off your shoulders. So another thing, it's like, all right, I'm able to be calm behind the block because the weight of the race is off my shoulders. And back there in the ready room before the race, you hear the music going, you see the camera panning as you're walking out, like that. 2019, we had fans. We had fans in 2019. It was great.
Right.
Something that we definitely
Right.
took for granted. They're going, like, parents are in the stands going crazy, and this is before the race has even started. So just shake out the nerves. And then Steve told me before that two back, he was like, it's going to be tough as nails, and you just got to be tougher. If you want to win, you just got to be tougher. And I think I was thinking that for all 8 laps, because that last lap hurt.
Okay, so would you end up going, and what place did you end up?
I won. I won a 143.9, and I think that last lap, the guy from ECU had closed very, very well, and I knew he was on me. And like that entire lap, I'm just thinking, just kick, pull, finish. Don't give up. You can do it. Just make it to the wall wherever it is.
So you come in as a 147.7. You finish your first season 143.9 in the 200 back conference champion. I mean, that was that a whole other level of
Oh,
meeting your goal?
the excitement was off the charts. Like, being able to see my mom and dad just in the stands going crazy, and just knowing like I had achieved just another goal, another step along the way. And it was just excitement beyond belief.
Yeah, that's a good question. What do you feel like your parents thought about this whole journey of you going from this club level swimmer in college to to being a D1 conference champion?
To put in the words that my mother uses, I'm crazy, but in a good way, in a good
Yeah,
way.
yeah,
But my dad, he wanted to be a pilot in the Air Force, and he got told that he had a heart condition that would keep him out of being a pilot in the Air Force. So it was actually going back after Peter and I had started texting and messaging back and forth. He had talked to me, and he was like, "Look, I always have the what if I could have been a pilot. I don't want you to ever have the what if I could have been a D1 swimmer." And so like he always instilled that don't go out with a what if in me. And that's kind of helped me get to where I'm at today.
yeah. That's I mean that's super cool that they were able to support you in that. So those next 2 years on the team, obviously 2020 was a weird year for everyone, and 21 continues to be as well. But after becoming a conference champion, after a year with the team, you really feel like you settled into a rhythm.
Yeah, and I mean honestly, it was I mean, your champions today, your targets tomorrow. So like you got to get back to work almost immediately. And we knew that. And I mean, just basically doing a quick fast forward throughout 2020. That year, I went into conference, and I think I honestly was a little too laid back going into the race. Like I thought throughout the entire year, just watching everybody else's swims in the conference, I was like, oh, I can do this again. Like, I got this. I'll be okay. And I was just too laid back. And as well as we lost the meet by 7 points that year. So the pressure was on big time during that race. And it came down to, I think, like 2/10 of a second, I got out touched. And, you were here last year on a motion scale, and like that immediately goes like right back down. Like my weight coach sent me a message after they put the podiums on. He was like, wow, you did not look happy. And I was like, I can assure you I was not happy, because as far as I knew at that time as well, that was my last college swim. I didn't have the extra years of eligibility at that point. And as far as I knew, I was going out getting out touched, and that just left a nasty taste in my mouth.
Wow. Okay, I didn't realize that. What did you go in that race?
I still won the best time. I was 143.3, and so I dropped, but not as significant as the year before, and just didn't really hit my goals that year, and so I was just definitely hungry for redemption, I'd say.
And so when do you find out that you had more years of eligibility left?
So there was a rule change. Originally, the rule was that the time that I did on my club team counted, because they had started the clock from when I took my first class at UC and when I first competed against another college student in a sport. So that originally started my clock. And after conference 2020, it was, I think, when we were in quarantine in April that we went through the appeal process to get the eligibility back, and I regained those 2 years of eligibility and was able to continue on. And the entire time, I was definitely going to keep, because by that point I had qualified for trials, so I was definitely going to keep training. So and had a conversation with our coach and talked to Mandy about coming back on the NCAA team and competing for the school again this year rather than just training for trials, because I felt like I could have been a great asset to the team again and mentor people along the way, to help train people along the way, and just put up points for the team. And after our conversation, went through the whole appeal process, and I think I found out by the third week of April. I knew that I had eligibility for this year.
Nice. And so then you come back on the team, and was your mindset different? Were your goals different? Obviously, the the atmosphere was different with us being in a pandemic, but yeah, what was different for you personally coming back onto the team?
I think that last year around this time, I was looking at it like, okay, I'll be done after Olympic trials. Just, after you have like a bad race or a bad ending, you're just ready for it to end. But, I took a step back, reevaluated everything, and was like, all right, if I'm going to do this again, we got to set the goals again. We got to get everything in gear. And I think everything kind of got put into motion again by May, because by May, people are starting to open up their pools in the backyard, and with pools being closed, little 15-yard pool in the backyard, I found myself swimming laps in, just to kind of get back into shape.
Yeah. And so then, take me through the fall and the spring of 2020, 2021, of just how getting back into shape went, how getting back into training went, and what were those goals that you were chasing?
Since the pandemic kind of shut everything down back last May, we didn't really have much of a training opportunity here at UC. So we swam off-site in just a club pool again, outdoor pool again. And that summer we did kind of just broke it back down to the basics. We did a whole drill instructional on Zoom. The coaches set that up for us, and we went through just looking at, I can't remember what the series was called, but we did one of the professional drill series on video. And then once we were able to get pool time again, got back in the pool, broke it back down to the basics, got the drills right, got the endurance back into us. And that way we'd be ready for full swing for the fall when the team reconvened. And from the second we stood on campus again in the fall, it was kind of like, how do we set our goals? And we went around as a group, and everybody had we were standing up as a men's team, and everybody had to say their end of year goals in front of everybody else. And that's definitely to make it known. And I think it's a great thing to do, because then you have other people around you holding you accountable to those goals.
And what were yours?
I think standing up, I told everybody I wanted to break 142 into 200 back and be in 141. Wanted to break 47 and 100 back. And I think I said I wanted to break 147 and 200 IM and get into 146 territory. And fast forward to end of year, I'll definitely hit those.
Yeah. And so take me through your conference meet, and we'll start there.
So conference was a bit weird this year because it wasn't the normal 4-day format. We were in a 3-day format. First day I had 200 IM and the 400 medley relay. And prelims 200 IM was, when the best time, I hadn't swam that event. I never swam that at a conference championship, so I never had any end of year time from that. So I dropped, I think, 2.5 from my best time in prelims, and I was pretty happy with it. But, just still wanted to fight to the finish and see what I could do in finals, because, just the competitive drive inside of me said, all right, even though like I was second in the event by 2 seconds, I was like, what, let's see if we can close the gap. Let's see where we can get. And in finals, I was a 145.7. So I broke my 146. I broke 147 goal, broke 146 that I didn't even have on the chart. And I pretty much shocked myself with that race, to be honest.
Yeah. And then take me to the 200 back.
200 back was last day, and I was in a position. I'd been looking at the top times from other conferences and looking at the USA Swimming top times report for NCAA's, and I knew I was in a good position with my 100 back time being a 46.3, and just wanted to kind of give myself a little more wiggle room. And 200 back the entire year, it was like I knew like I wasn't going to lose this year. Like this year was about redemption. I was going out. I was going to win. Like nothing was going to stop me from touching the wall first.
I mean, did you?
Yeah. It was a great race. I mean, Hunter pushes me every day in the pool. Like he pushes me more than anybody else that I've ever trained with. Like it is amazing what he can achieve over the next 3 years of his college career. And he definitely pushed me in that race. I think from the get-go, I knew I had to go, and because it's just a 200, but he was right on my hip the entire race. And I think that's really what pushed me to where I finished at a 141.9 at conference.
So you repeat, you get redemption. You win the conference title. You were sitting pretty good with that 46.3 in the 100 to qualify for NCAA's. So what prompted you to go to a last chance meet?
I think I was looking at where I was, and then I started looking at like who had meets left, and I knew Big Tens had meets left and Pac-12s had meets left, and I think we were sitting in the plane from Chicago to Cincinnati because we had a layover. And I look at our coach Mandy and I go, "Hey, where's the nearest last chance meet? I think I'm gonna have to do it." Like I was like, just based off of everything I'm seeing, I was like, let's get the ball rolling on that because I think I'm gonna have to do that if I want to make NCAA's.
So where do you end up going, and what does that end up looking like?
So after a few days of just keeping the feel for the water, we end up down in Louisville. Louisville had a last chance meet. It was us, Notre Dame, and Louisville at the meet. And last chance meets are a whole different atmosphere. The coaches told us that when we were going in, and like I honestly didn't know what to expect out of it. I mean, I didn't know if it was going to be a packed meet, didn't know if it was going to be a light meet, didn't know how it was going to run. And I found out real quick because the first session lasted about 40 minutes long.
Yeah, I mean, take me through that. What is that like?
So, I mean, the energy is definitely weird. You got all the coaches cheering for everybody because, they want to see you make NCAAs no matter what team you're on. And it's a great feeling knowing that everybody on the pool deck has your back. Like, the Louisville coach walked up to us, gave us all high fist bumps, telling us good luck. He's like, "This is where the magic happens," kind of thing. Last chance meets. This is where you make something special happen. So I think that was a good feeling, and that helped set me up to have a good race. Because in prelims, I ended up dropping again, and I was a 141.7 after prelims, and I knew I still had to drop a little more. But after a week off, or after a week after conference, it's like, okay, where does that little more come from? And literally, it's just wherever you have it deep down, you got to pull it out. And after finals, went into the finals race, and just like, all right, you got to go. Like knowing I have to get out quick and work the middle 100, work just going at it the last 25, knowing in the back of my head, it's either you push yourself to your past your breaking point, or you're not going to NCAA's. And
And
touch the wall, 140.9, and dreams come true. It's like, where are you going? I'm going to Disney World kind of feeling.
yeah, go into the Disney world of swimming. That's for sure. Like you said, 140.9. You are 16th seed in the men's NCAAs. You're seeded to score right now. I mean, so moving forward to wrap things up here, what are you thinking heading into this NCAA meet?
I'm thinking it's going to be a good experience, and I definitely want to compete in the meet. Like you can be a person in a meet who was there to swim, like you qualified, great. But my old club head coach Jason like I think it was my freshman year of high school. We were standing there looking at like the psych sheet for high school state because that first year barely snuck in as like an alternate or something. He's like, you can be two people at this meet. You can be somebody who shows up and adds 3 seconds, or you can compete to win. And I want to be a competitor. That's who I am naturally.
Well, Blake, it's been so great sitting down with you and listening to your story, because it is pretty unique and really, really cool to hear about all these ups and downs, highs and lows in your swim career. Before we sign off, any parting thoughts for our audience?
I guess if I have to tell everybody one thing, it would be, if you have a dream, make it happen. Like, just do the work, whatever you got to do. If you want something to happen, do not let anybody stand in your way or tell you can't do it. I'd love to say that I'm living proof of that.
You've been listening to the SwimSwam podcast. Stay tuned for new episodes every week. You can take SwimSwam podcast on the go by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. Look for links in the description below, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos as well.